It all kicks off in the year 2075 over in East District 55, a place we used to call Tokyo. Ito Kuryu works as a supplier for the mage army in that sector, stuck with a trash tier starting rank and a score of barely 131. About to turn 35 years old, he regrets being stuck in this dead-end gig, remembering how everything flipped upside down on that fateful day. Around 40 years ago, the world was basically on the verge of a total game over for reasons humanity couldn't even begin to understand. During that time, a brutal invasion swept through everything, wiping out cities without a second thought. These bizarre creatures crawled out from deep underground and started hunting people down. Showing zero mercy, the monsters caused an absolute disaster, sending the population into full-blown panic mode. Trying to survive, humanity threw every piece of military firepower they had at them. But regular firearms didn't even leave a scratch on these beasts. With their ridiculous defense stats, the creatures made all modern weaponry completely useless. Just when everyone was losing hope and accepting their imminent end, mysterious heroes popped up out of nowhere to flip the script. They were the mage people capable of slinging ancient spells with some seriously elite swordsmanship. Tossing failed science out the window, these warriors became the real MVPs. With that, they stepped up to the front lines to go toe-to-toe with the ruthless creatures. The training of new mages started rolling out worldwide. So people started grinding hard in combat training to prepare for the worst. Thanks to these elite soldiers, the planet finally managed to get its peace back. But as a result of all this newfound calm, society ended up completely divided. Extreme academic elitism took over, where if you didn't have magical powers, you barely even counted as a person. Everything revolved around these elite training academies. Meanwhile, Ito is still out here carrying heavy boxes, getting mocked by the other guys. Taking advantage of his distraction, one of the bullies tries to swipe something from him on the sly. He spots the sketchy move just in time. The guys surround the worker, demanding his attention with major arrogance. Out of nowhere, one of them lands a heavy kick, demanding he hand over the potions. Knocked down and coughing hard, he still has to sit there and take their insults about his low rank. Even while he begs them to leave the supplies alone, the bully grabs him by the collar and tells him to shut his mouth. In that academy where top-tier talents are forged, the ranking system is the only law that matters. Every student's evaluation is based purely on their sword skills. Total mastery of magic is also a huge deal. Plus, you need a solid grasp of military strategy to lead out in the field. Put all that together, and the final grade dictates a person's entire worth in that society. So every job and role in the world ends up being decided by this ruthless point system. In this setup dominated by the student elite, life for the guys at the bottom is an absolute nightmare. Staring at his device, he accepts his bitter fate of being just a washed-up delivery guy. His pathetic stats and that score of 131 just prove his lack of talent. Frustrated with his own weakness, he thinks about how if he had power, he could be out there fighting to protect everyone. Right then, a desperate scream makes him look up at the sky. A bizarre dimensional rift packed with dark energy starts tearing open through the clouds. Completely mind-blown, the delivery guy has no clue what on earth he is looking at. Fast as lightning, a sinister flying creature dives out of the rift, terrorizing the whole area. The giant monster scans its surroundings. That monstrous and totally unknown threat lands right in front of the helpless workers. The bizarre creature that dropped from the sky brought a whole squad of smaller monsters with it. The army commander, boasting a score of 1078, immediately orders an all-out attack to wipe out the threat. The mages go in guns blazing, dropping their best spells on the targets. But this unknown being fires off a devastating beam like an actual god of destruction. The ridiculous impact sends the elite soldiers flying. The entire army gets totally embarrassed, without even managing a single useful counterattack. Running for his life, the MC realizes these invaders are on a completely absurd power level. In a matter of just 3 days, that overwhelming power completely obliterated the entire world. Looking at the ruins from the top of a hill, the reality of total destruction finally sinks in. The two of them stare at the devastated landscape with heavy, uncertain looks. Super scared by the situation, the girl asks if this really is the end of humanity. He tries to calm Luna down, promising to protect her, even though deep down he doubts he actually can. Still, she gives a relieved smile, completely trusting him to have her back. Hearing that he's considered the kindest person in the world catches the guy off guard. A little flustered by the compliment, he looks away trying to play it cool. Trying to change the subject, the guy says he's gonna take a walk to find them something to eat. As he walks, frustration makes him clench his fists super tight. He bitterly asks himself what's the point of being kind if he doesn't have the strength to back it up. The lonely walk through the rocky wasteland just makes him feel even more helpless. Suddenly, a desperate scream echoes through the area, grabbing his attention. He recognizes the voice instantly and spins around, fearing the absolute worst. Without a second thought, he sprints back as fast as his legs can carry him. When he gets there, the scene is a total nightmare, with one of those creatures holding the girl. The gross monster opens its giant mouth to snack on its helpless prey. In a reckless jump, he yells at the beast to drop his little sis right now. Remembering the promise to survive that they made after losing their parents, he refuses to back down. Gathering all his courage, the delivery guy activates a magic pressure skill. He fires off an attack, praying that it actually does something useful. The girl watches her brother's brave move with a tiny glimmer of hope in her eyes. But the little energy sphere hits the creature dead on and just fizzles out without leaving a single scratch. Totally frustrated with the result, Ido realizes his trash tier skill is completely useless. Staring at his own hand, he faces the bitter reality of his own weakness. Meanwhile, the bizarre monster keeps a firm grip on the girl. Suddenly, a magical slashing attack hits the creature hard from way up high. Surprised by the save, the MC looks up to see where the strike came from. Commander Glenn shows up, telling him hell hold off the beast and yells at the kid to run with his sister. Wasting zero time, the mage rushes the monster, unleashing a rapid combo of slashes. Using the opening, the delivery guy grabs Luna and books it as fast as he can. Panicking during the escape, he begs his little sis to wake up no matter what. Badly hurt, the girl manages to open her eyes super slowly, calling her brother's name. But right after that, her body completely loses all its strength and goes entirely limp. Shocked by the situation, the guy instantly realizes the tragic event that just went down. He calls her name one more time, hoping for a response he knows isn't coming. Overwhelmed by unbearable pain, the young guy lets out a heart-wrenching scream of pure despair. 3 days pass since the tragedy, showing a lone tombstone out in that green field. Standing in front of the grave, the MC clasps his hands to pray for the little sis he lost. Consumed by guilt, he bitterly confesses that this whole mess was his fault. Crying hard, the guy thinks about how if he had been a powerful mage, he could have protected Luna. Right then, a desperate shout telling everyone to run grabs his attention instantly. Looking back, he sees a bunch of people fleeing in terror, warning that the area is way too dangerous. A giant winged monster just landed nearby, trashing the scenery around the civilians. The bizarre creature opens its mouth and starts charging up this sinister purple energy. Going totally against common sense, the young guy runs straight toward the danger, wanting to at least protect his sister's grave. Showing zero mercy, the monster fires a devastating energy beam that sweeps across the ground. Completely paralyzed, all he can do is watch that lethal light coming straight for him. The impact of the attack causes a ridiculous explosion that blasts the guy violently into the distance. All beat up and taking heavy damage, he regains consciousness, groaning from the hit he just took. Using whatever little strength he has left, he pushes himself up off the ground, relieved he survived by some miracle. The dust and severe injuries send the survivor into a heavy coughing fit. Checking his pockets, he pulls out a flask, realizing it's his very last healing potion. Taken over by uncontrollable rage, the delivery guy lets out a furious roar in the middle of the destruction. Just ahead, Commander Glenn is still locked in a fierce battle, trading heavy blows with the winged monster. Watching the struggle, the MC wonders out loud if the mage is really trying to fight this thing completely solo. Keeping his stance firm, the elite soldier yells that he isn't giving up on the world and promises to protect everything. With major skills, he fires multiple concentrated ice attacks at the flying creatures. But the frozen spikes just shatter and barely do any damage to the main beast. In that brief moment of distraction, the kid notices a fatal move and tries to warn his ally in time. Several huge, razor-sharp spears fly at top speed right toward the veteran warrior. Unable to dodge, the commander gets brutally pierced from multiple sides all at once. The massive damage makes the hero cough up a lot, feeling total agony ripping through his body. Up in the air, the sinister creature just watches its mortally wounded victim about to drop. Totally wrecked by the hits, the fighter falls to his knees, using his huge sword to keep from collapsing completely. His breathing gets heavier and shorter, making it super clear that the end is near. Seeing his ally in absolute critical condition, Ido runs desperately across the trash terrain. Getting close, the young guy holds out his last potion, begging the soldier to drink it. Barely having the breath to speak, Glenn refuses the offer and tells the kid to use the healing item on himself. Being stubborn, the delivery guy argues back, saying the hero's life is way more valuable for saving the world. Shutting down that twisted logic, the wounded warrior swears that all lives matter equally and that the kid is actually stronger. Gripping the potion, the MC cries, regretting that he didn't have enough magic power to save his sister. With a sad look, the soldier confesses that he's weak too, since he failed to protect the person he loved. Hearing this tragic and personal confession catches the delivery boy completely off guard. It becomes obvious that this flawless warrior also felt the pain of losing someone dear to the unknown. Gathering the very last bit of energy he has left, the commander holds out a mysterious bracelet to the kid. The silver accessory gives off an enigmatic glow and seems to carry some seriously ancient magic. Handing over the jewelry with total seriousness, the mage trusts him with the massive mission of protecting the world. And he backs it up with heavy conviction, saying he knows very well the kid is gonna pull it off. Freaked out by the absurd weight of this sudden responsibility, the MC doubts himself. He tries to turn it down, claiming it's impossible, but the veteran cuts his excuse short, saying he's the only one who can do it. In the middle of this tense back and forth, a massive shadow covers the ground over the two of them. The winged monster gives no breathing room and dives, tearing through the sky to deliver the final blow to the duo. Acting on pure instinct, the delivery guy jumps in front of the danger and yells at the warrior to dodge fast. But the giant beast doesn't slow down and charges like a runaway train to crush its targets. Staring the end right in the face, the kid feels a weird energy and wonders what kind of magic that is. Right behind him, the fallen commander starts glowing with an intense green light as he activates a reversal spell. In the middle of a blinding flash, the young guy just accepts his fate, figuring he's finally going to see his sister again. A little bit later, he opens his eyes, totally disoriented with zero clue where he ended up. Scanning the spacious room, he notices he's sitting in a gigantic, perfectly intact classroom. Right next to him, other kids in uniform are chatting casually, like the war never even happened. Trying to put the puzzle pieces together, he reads the projection on the stage about the Military Academy entrance exam. Reality hits him like a truck when he realizes the sign points exactly to the year 2055. Super nervous about the situation, the guy stands up abruptly, trying to figure out what the heck just went down. The colorful projection on the big screen confirms without a doubt that he went exactly 20 years back in time. Scratching the back of his neck in shock, he tries to process this crazy time travel that defies all logic. His expression completely changes when he feels a familiar cold weight on his own wrist. Raising his arm, the boy confirms that the bracelet the hero gave him traveled back to this era right along with him. Remembering the hero using that reversal magic in the middle of a lethal battle. The kid finally gets that the commander sacrificed everything to send him back to the past. A firm footstep echoes across the wooden floor of the huge room. The instructor announces loudly that the Military Academy entrance exam is about to begin. Sitting at his desk, the guy waits for the instructions along with the other applicants. Then he looks around, trying to get his bearings in this super nostalgic environment. Pen in hand, the young guy gets tense because he has absolutely no clue what is going on. But he decides to focus on the test and just concentrate on passing this first hurdle. While scanning the paper, his look shifts quickly when he notices a very curious detail. Without stopping his writing, he finds it super weird that these questions are so incredibly easy. Hugely relieved, the applicant finishes the test, doubting if the level was always this low. Over at the physical testing grounds, the students are showing off their combat skills with swords. Weapon in hand, the guy delivers a clean, powerful strike against the training dummy. Paying close attention to his own blade, he gets surprised by the sudden upgrade in his technique. It immediately clicks that he absorbed the combat skills of the fallen hero. That great warrior's final promise asking him to protect the world echoes in his head. With that, the kid grips his sword handle, filling up with massive conviction about what he needs to do. Mind made up, he swears to his old buddy that he's going to create a future free from those monstrous creatures. Walking through the city, the MC figures out that step 1 is conquering the academy. Just ahead, a very familiar little girl is waiting patiently on the sidewalk. Recognizing his little sis alive and well, he can't hide his massive emotion. Without second guessing, the guy runs over and hugs her as tightly as humanly possible. Confused by his desperation, the little girl tries to figure out what's gotten into her older brother. Resting his hand on her shoulder, he makes a silent promise that he will never let her go again. On the day of the admission ceremony, Ido waits anxiously to see the results of his hard work. In that oppressive place, the memory of being treated like garbage for having a low grade still haunts him. Back in the day, lower-ranked students used to get ruthlessly bullied by the stronger ones. Cutting through the bad memories, the academy director calls the guy's name out loud. Caught off guard, the young man answers right away, confirming he's present at the ceremony. As he walks up to the front, the other students whisper, having no idea who the new kid is. The director holds out a fancy box, congratulating the kid on an outstanding performance. Handling the object super carefully, Ido checks out his mystery reward. Inside sits an exclusive golden emblem, given only to the student with the absolute highest score. Totally in shock, the freshman can barely believe he snagged first place overall. Staring at the massive building, he realizes he's now at the very top of the school's strict system. During break time, the military academy's giant cafeteria gets completely packed. Still processing the news, the guy walks down the hall, kind of doubting his own success. In a far corner, a student bitterly complains about the pathetic food he was given. The tray just has a dry piece of bread and water, proving the brutal treatment the lower class gets. Watching this sad scene from afar, the MC realizes the harsh injustice of this place. Near the menu that's sorted by grades, an arrogant voice yells at the weaker kids to get out of the way. Showing total aggression, a noble shoves a defenseless kid for literally no reason. The poor guy ends up tripping and dropping his food all over an elite student's clothes. Furious about the mess, the upper-class meathead cruelly intimidates his victim. Terrified by the 3-level rank gap, the kid drops to his knees begging for forgiveness. The noble makes sure to remind him that challenging the upper castes is an unforgivable crime around here. Interrupting the bullying, Ido steps in and helps the fallen kid safely back to his feet. Annoyed by the interference, the aggressor tells the new guy to back off, assuming he's low rank. Suddenly, the meathead goes into shock when he notices a blinding detail on the intruder's uniform. Flashing his shiny crest, the MC reveals his max tier rank to everyone. Cornered by his own rules, the noble backs down, boiling with rage after being publicly humiliated. Ignoring the tension, the freshman casually picks up the dirty tray from the floor, cool as a cucumber. The crazy sight of a superior cleaning up a mess leaves the aggressor absolutely fuming. Clicking his tongue, the big guy realizes he just lost all his street cred in front of the whole cafeteria. With nothing left to say, he turns his back and calls his goons to leave. During his frustrated retreat, the noble mentally swears he's still going to make this new kid kneel before him. Far from there, the cafeteria serves up a luxurious banquet exclusive to the military academy's elite. With a table full of food, Ido invites the oppressed students to share the meal with him. Across the hall, a noble girl notices the classy move from the newly arrived classmate. Sarah admits to herself that she finds this kind mage extremely interesting. Taking the initiative, the girl walks over to the table and asks if she can join them. The guy gets nervous interacting with a student who was completely out of his league in the past. To break the ice, she compliments his kindness and points out how strong he is without being arrogant. Looking down, the MC secretly regrets that kindness alone doesn't actually protect anyone. With a serious look, he declares that his real goal here is to gain more power. Sarah gets hyped, realizing that having this guy around is going to bring a lot of good surprises. In the shadows of the cafeteria, two jealous upperclassmen glare at the new kid's spotlight with pure hatred. Determined to knock the prodigy down a peg, the punks plan a totally cowardly attack. Without any warning, a massive axe comes spinning through the air right at the peaceful table. The heavy weapon smashes the entire table, ruining the festive feast in front of everyone. The sharp blade gets stuck in the wood, scattering fancy food scraps all over the floor. Furious at the stunt, Sarah scolds them, reminding them that private duels are strictly banned. Completely mocking the rules, the punk tells the noble to stay quiet since they were born to fight. Keeping up the attitude, his partner claims he just wanted to teach the new kid not to drop his guard. Staring the duo down coldly, Ido guarantees he knows the cruelty of war way better than they do. Looking at the mess on the table, Ido simply asks what these guys want with him. Getting straight to the point, the axe-wielding brute challenges the top student to a caste rebellion mission. Immediately, the other students are stunned by a challenge like this right after enrollment. Not believing their audacity, Sarah asks if the duo is actually being serious. Standing side by side, the two arrogant upperclassmen keep a confident posture, thinking they're being intimidating. On the flip side, the MC thinks this is a perfect chance to test out a few new things. This challenge means dueling a higher-ranked student, with both sides betting 100 points. Up on the academy roof, the rules are simple. Whoever gets incapacitated and can't keep fighting loses. Not seeing much upside for himself, Ido accepts the fight purely to measure his current strength. Finding the duel too boring, the red-haired upperclassman proposes a side bet between them. The noble girl states with absolute certainty that the freshman will win because he's max rank. At that, the punk declares that if the new kid loses, the girl becomes his property. Totally outraged, Ido protests, refusing to be part of such a selfish and ridiculous bet. Surprising everyone, Sarah just accepts the punk's conditions without even blinking. Completely blindsided, the MC calls the girl's name, having no idea why she'd do that. As a condition, she demands that if the freshman wins, the upperclassman has to stop treating her like an object. Flashing a mocking smirk, the punk calls the noble sassy but accepts the deal. Drawing his sword, Ido reflects that he has a high level but zero real combat experience. As soon as the fight starts, the upperclassman charges in, firing a freezing spell right at his target. Facing the magic attack, the MC hesitates for a second, unsure of how to defend himself. Acting purely on instinct, the guy raises his hand, projecting a magic circle that stops the ice dead. Looking at his own hand, he realizes his body reacted to the danger completely on its own. Watching from the sidelines, Sarah is seriously impressed by that insane reaction speed. Then it clicks for him that he perfectly absorbed the commander's vast war experience. Building confidence, Ido goes for a counterattack, conjuring a basic fire elemental spell. The upperclassman mocks the basic magic, thinking the new kid is just a spoiled brat with no practical talent. Giving the enemy zero time to breathe, the young guy chains an ice spell right after. The rapid stance change catches the punk completely off guard. The attack morphs into a lethal combo where the ice propels and splits the flames. With the devastating impact, the upperclassman gets blasted away without being able to defend himself. Satisfied with the outcome, the kid recognizes that this was his old friend's signature technique. The noble girl is amazed, wondering where he learned a combo method that isn't even taught here. With his opponent down on the ground, the MC walks over, wanting to wrap the duel up quickly. The old captain's voice echoes in his head, reminding him that every strike in battle needs to be decisive. Suddenly, the brute attacks the freshman from behind, telling him not to get a big head. Sensing the hostile intent, the kid notices the dangerous approach just in time. Taking advantage of the opening, he steps back while the giant axe smashes the ground, causing major damage. Furious at the dirty move, Sarah yells, reminding them that the duel was supposed to be one-on-one. Laughing it off, the cheating duo mocks her, claiming the challenge was always against both of them. Ido just gives a slight smirk, confirming that he's going to take them both on at the same time now. Using the freshman's own words against him, the upperclassman points out that the battlefield is always unfair. Worried about the disadvantage, the noble demands they stop and declares the mission completely invalid. But the guy interrupts her, swearing that fighting one or two opponents makes zero difference to him. The girl watches her classmate's unshakable calm, getting even more intrigued by his power. Gripping his sword tight, he recognizes the weight of his own destiny that he's carrying on his shoulders. The terrifying image of that giant monster that destroyed the world haunts the kid's mind. With a furious look, he swears he won't let himself get intimidated by such a pathetic brawl. Charging at the duo, the kid declares that out on a real battlefield there are no rules. The harsh reality of war demands that a soldier decide between taking out the enemy or going down without hesitation. Watching her classmate's fury, Sarah realizes his eyes are looking toward a very distant future. Not hiding their bad intentions, the upperclassmen announced that the plan was always to eliminate the new kid right here. With blood in their eyes, the two punks charge together to try and crush their target once and for all. Blocking the strike, Ido completely trusts the sword skills he just inherited. The red-haired upperclassman curses as his attack gets easily deflected by the kid. Trying a new strategy, the cheaters launch a coordinated high-low attack. Keeping a defensive stance, the MC blocks the vertical slash coming from the air. The noble girl's eyes go wide with shock, wondering where all this physical strength is coming from. He manages to stop the heavy axe with his sword and decides to focus on taking them down one by one. Frustrated, the enemy tries another quick forward thrust with his blade to pierce the defense. Dodging with ease, the young guy unleashes a flurry of rapid slashes against the duo. By pushing the attack, the guy notices his own sword is cracking because it can't handle the pressure. Using the distraction, the brute fires off a powerful electric spell right at the ground. Sure of his victory, his partner preps another spell to create a deadly combo. The punk launches a wind magic that mixes with the electricity, creating a literal storm. Seeing the power doubled by the combo, Sarah panics, fearing for her friend's life. Ido ends up completely surrounded by the lightning storm with nowhere to run. Gritting his teeth, he realizes his current shield isn't going to be enough to tank that impact. With no other choice, the young guy takes a deep breath, deciding it's all or nothing right now. Tapping into his inherited skills, he opts to test out his buddy's high-class summoning technique. Raising his glowing hand, the kid shouts the magic command to summon his creature into combat. Instantly, a massive fire dragon appears behind him, dominating the entire rooftop. The upperclassmen are absolutely terrified, facing a mythical beast that's impossible to beat. Suddenly, a blinding flash swallows the MC, making the situation even more chaotic. Confused by the overflowing energy, Ido stares at his own hands, not understanding this power. Within the flames, the dragon's glowing eye watches everything with an imposing and terrifying presence. When the light fades, instead of a giant beast, there's just a tiny little dragon yawning from sleep. Faced with this ridiculous scene, the big brute freezes up, totally paralyzed. Right after, the two upperclassmen burst out laughing, calling the creature useless and weak. Annoyed by the mockery, the little dragon flies up, asking what they just said. Without any warning, the creature fires a purple energy beam out of its mouth. The devastating attack hits the roof, creating an insane magical explosion. Absolutely terrified by the impact, the punks scream in panic, begging for help. Ido is in shock at that ridiculous power, while the little dragon goes back to grumbling about its nap. Watching from a distance, Sarah concludes that this is a rare beast summoned only by legendary mages. The little monster flexes its imposing aura, revealing itself to be the max-rank summon named Draga. Knocked to the ground, the cheaters panic when they hear the beast's true rank. Still surprised, the MC confirms with the flying creature if that's really its name. Staring down the enemies, the little dragon asks the guy if it should just wipe them both out at once. Facing this lethal threat, the duo cries, begging for their lives with zero pride left. Staying chill, the freshman denies the request and decides the duel mission ends right there. Unhappy with the call, the creature warns him that showing mercy on the battlefield is a huge mistake. Being understanding, the young guy states he's already seen enough of the strength they have to offer. He adds to it, guaranteeing that the two of them aren't enemies, but allies in the fight against the real threat. Hearing this noble argument, the dragon stares at its master, processing the information. Relieved by the freshman's attitude, the aggressors stutter out their thanks for being spared. Frustrated by his own defeat, the red-haired upperclassman backs off, silently swearing he's still going to get his revenge. Landing on the floor, the magic beast calls the kid a softie and asks for his name. Introducing himself formally, Ido asks not to be called by that disrespectful nickname. The little dragon flies closer, showing it's happy to meet its new master. Returning the good vibes, the MC also greets his powerful summon. Watching the chill interaction, Sarah silently reflects on the guy's flawless attitude. The noble girl concludes that this freshman has everything it takes to become the strongest mage in history. Night falls over the big city, showing that the first day of classes has finally wrapped up. Back at the apartment, the shadow of his little sis playing happily with the new pet reflects in the window. Hugging the little guy super affectionately, Luna praises how cute he is, wanting to confirm his name. Seeing this scene, the young guy figures the summon has basically turned into a regular house pet. Playing on the floor, the little girl celebrates brightly, saying she always had a big dream of owning a dog. The magical creature hears the kid's comment and is not a fan of that humiliating comparison. Staring at Luna's happiness, the guy promises to himself that he's never going to let her suffer again. To avoid any accidents, he scoops the pet up, warning her that behind that goofy face is a dangerous beast. Completely outraged, the little dragon shoots off sparks, demanding to know who has a goofy face here. Laughing hard, Ido quickly apologizes and tells his partner to chill out a bit. Joining in the harmless chaos, the girl can't hold back and bursts out laughing with her brother. The next day, the massive academy is buzzing, marking the official start of the school term. Walking through the courtyard with the other freshmen, the MC gears up for the class leveling event. The institution is split into 3 main classes, the first one focusing on courage and major initiative. Then the second division, repped by the Blue Crest, prioritizes the spirit of adventure and raw power. Finally, the third class aims to gather the students who shine in intellect and grand strategies. Paying attention to the rules, the new kid gets that the class winning the tournaments gets special bonuses. Inside the huge auditorium, the teachers gather on stage to kick off the sorting ceremony. The director gives a speech on the mic, emphasizing that this choice will determine the rest of the students' lives. Standing next to her classmate, Sarah strikes up a conversation, asking if he's already picked which class he wants to join. Keeping his focus locked on the ceremony, the guy answers honestly that he hasn't decided anything yet. The noble girl confesses she's definitely avoiding the first class because of the dark rumors about the teacher. Sweating cold, the MC remembers his past life, mentally confirming that the hell of that class is very real. Back in the day, the feared Professor Ivan acted like a literal menace disguised as an educator. This sadistic dude's only goal was handing out brutal punishments to break the spirits of the worst students. Traumatic memories flash of the young guy suffering brutal physical punishments during his old training. Interrupting his bad thoughts, heavy footsteps approach, wanting to confirm who the top student is. Without warning, the tyrant professor himself appears among the students, calling out the freshman's name. With a threatening glare, the mysterious man focuses all his creepy attention on the kid right there. Pretty tense from the unwanted approach, the MC confirms his identity, swallowing hard. Watching the interaction closely, the girl finds the teacher's sudden interest in her friend super weird. Getting straight to it, the veteran brings up the scholarship application the student sent to the board. Fully aware of his own financial situation, Ido internally admits he couldn't afford those ridiculous fees. Flexing his authority, the professor makes it an absolute condition that the kid joins his class to get the scholarship. The boy catches onto the dirty play and silently wonders what this guy's real intentions are. Staring down the freshman, the sadistic educator plans to completely shatter this arrogant brat's confidence once and for all. Showing absolutely zero intimidation, the MC agrees to the terms dictated by his superior. Shocked by his reckless courage, Sarah's eyes go wide, not believing he agreed to such a raw deal. With major determination, Ido silently promises he's going to make that corrupt teacher crawl at his feet. Keeping his defiant stance, the young guy announces he has his own demand to close this deal too. A little while later, the two of them head down the shadowy stairs, getting ready to start the special exam he forced on him. Curious about the mystery location, the student asks what exactly they are going to do in such an isolated place. Flashing an evil grin, the veteran reveals the test will be fighting a magical beast in the underground arena. Standing in the middle of the massive empty coliseum, the kid thinks it's insane to fight a monster right at admission. Up in the control room, the professor hopes this brutal battle is way too tough for the prodigy kid to survive. Staring at the dark gate, the applicant still can't figure out why he's this guy's main target. Just then, a group of noble students walks into the observation deck, asking for permission to watch the exam up close. Standing her ground, Sarah makes a point of stating she also wants to watch her friends fight to the very end. Watching from above, Professor Ivan sarcastically praises the kid's effort. Sarah mutters in outrage that forcing her friend to fight for a scholarship is ridiculous and that this is a total setup. Down below, the MC keeps a sharp lookout, paying close attention to everything around him. He takes his stance in the arena right after the gate opens, revealing the massive threat. Huge claws start emerging from the shadows of the dark hallway. A bizarre, muscle-bound creature comes walking out onto the battlefield. The giant monster is revealed to be an A-class magical beast. Facing the challenge, Ido swallows hard, thinking this thing looks terrifying. Worried, the noble girl asks if the freshman is really going to have to fight that thing solo. The professor's assistant guarantees with total certainty that it's impossible for the kid to win. Keeping up the mockery, the man tells the applicant to run away if he wants to stay alive. On the arena floor, the beast roars loudly, already prepping for brutal combat. Drawing his sword, the young guy rejects the idea of running since he desperately needs that scholarship. The professor watches the situation, mentally swearing he won't let the freshman walk out with a win. Showing zero fear, the guy confidently guarantees that his only option is winning. Ido analyzes his opponent and deduces that training beasts don't have wild instincts. Right in front of him, the scaly monster locks onto its target and preps for the first strike. Wasting no time, the creature fires a powerful energy blast out of its mouth. Taking advantage of how basic the attack is, the kid dodges it with major agility. The blast ends up hitting the floor, kicking up a ton of dust in the combat arena. The monster doesn't quit and charges at the boy, going all out. Channeling a ton of energy, the magical beast preps another devastating attack against its target. Reacting fast, the young guy summons a magic shield to block the heavy hit. The hexagonal barrier manages to tank the impact of the strike perfectly. Frustrated by the unbreakable defense, the beast lets out a threatening roar. But the continuous force of the attack ends up shoving the boy backward violently. Sliding across the floor, he is shocked to feel a heavy lethal intent coming from the monster. Up in the stands, the professor confirms that starving the beast for 3 days was the best tactic. The applicant realizes the monster is getting its cruel instincts back because it's starving. Hyped about the dirty trick, the assistant roots for the monster to devour the kid alive right there. Desperate, Sarah warns that at this pace, her friend won't have a single chance to win. The guy closes his eyes, taking a deep breath to keep his cool in the middle of all this chaos. In front of him, the beast shows an aggressive, relentless stance, out for blood. Confident, the MC guarantees he knows exactly what this thing's weak point is. Tapping into memories from his past life, he rushes in fast with his sword drawn. The young guy remembers that training beasts are modified and controlled in a lab. Moving with agility, the applicant dodges the brute force attacks of the enraged monster. He knows that these creatures' behavior is dictated by a chip implanted in the back of their necks. With that in mind, the guy maneuvers behind the beast to smash the control device. Watching the aggressive strategy, the professor realizes instantly that the target is the beast's head. The boy attacks with everything, while the veteran is in shock that he knows about the secret chip. The sharp blade lands a direct hit on the back of the monster's neck, sending sparks flying. But the creature counterattacks instantly, sending the young guy flying through the air. Landing on his feet, Ido realizes in frustration that the beast managed to perfectly block the critical damage. As the monster spins to attack, he reflects that this species has absolutely insane physical strength. Jumping over the beast, the kid relies on the speed he inherited from the commander to gain the upper hand. At that moment, the bizarre monster spins its body with absurd, uncontrollable violence. The MC's eyes go wide, caught totally off guard by the move. The creature appears right in his face, showing off agility it shouldn't even have. Unable to block in time, the boy takes the hit to the chest and spits out some damage. With the devastating impact, he gets tossed away like a simple ragdoll. The guy smashes his back against the arena's stone wall, taking serious physical damage. Down and confused, he tries to figure out how the monster got so fast all of a sudden. The beast roars, releasing magic, and the young guy realizes the creature's stats have been messed with. Whispering in the stands, the assistant celebrates that rewriting the programming was a success. The professor confirms the whole setup, revealing he removed the creature's power limiters. The man proudly declares in a twisted way that the thing in the arena has become a literal machine of destruction. Completely outraged, Sarah figures out the plan and accuses the duo of trying to eliminate her friend on purpose. The assistant replies cynically that they just gave a poor kid a chance to earn some cash. Gritting her teeth, the noble calls the woman a coward for pulling such a trashy move. Downstairs, Ido gets up with a lot of difficulty as the dust settles. Taking advantage of the target's weakened state, the monster charges a massive, dangerous energy in its claws. Gigantic ice spikes start erupting from the ground, rushing straight toward the student. Acting on reflex, the young guy shouts, summoning his magic light shield once again. The pressure from the freezing magic makes him break into a cold sweat as he tries to hold the barrier steady. Tired and hurt, the MC curses, feeling the weight of this totally unfair fight. The creature starts glowing intensely, revealing it was modded all the way up to S rank. Even facing this ridiculous threat, the guy refuses to throw in the towel and stands his ground. Gripping his sword handle tight, he swears he can't afford the luxury of losing and getting expelled. Determined to honor his fallen friend, the applicant raises his hand and conjures his secret summon. The assistant goes into shock seeing the glow of the magic, wondering if he activated a special skill. The massive silhouette of a fire dragon dominates the arena, intimidating the ice monster. The professor and his helper panic, having no idea what colossal creature that is. However, the only thing that pops out of the smoke is his tiny, cute, magical pet dragon. Super hyped by the surprise, Sarah cheers, calling the pet to save the day. Wasting no time, Ido asks the little dragon to lend him its power, and it just yawns, lazily agreeing. Right after, the guy steps up confidently, stating he has the situation completely under control. With a fast strike, he lands a flaming slash right on the giant monster's chest. Using the opening, the MC runs in, thinking it's finally time to smash that chip. With a precise jump, the boy lands on the creature's back, ready to finish the heavy lifting. But a dark energy explodes from the beast's body, violently repelling the kid. Watching from up high, Sarah gets super scared, not understanding what that bizarre aura is. The monster's body starts cracking, leaving the student confused by the sudden transformation. With the beast shape shifting, Ido is shocked, realizing he never saw an evolution like this even in his past life. The creature reveals multiple terrifying snake heads, making the kid curse at that insane power level. Completely out of control, the modded monster roars and goes on the offensive against its target. Reacting purely on instinct, the young guy immediately summons his hexagonal light barrier to protect himself. But the brute force of the impact hits the magic defense head-on, shattering the shield into pieces. Unable to hold back the pressure of the attack, the kid gets dragged backward across the floor. The noble panics, noticing the beast crush the guy's defense with surreal destructive force. Evaluating the bad situation, Ido thinks they aren't winning this one, and the pet asks if he wants to run. With absolutely zero pride, the guy yells that obviously he's getting the heck out of there. As the student runs around the arena, the professor cheers from above, guaranteeing his defeat is a sure thing. The corrupt old man is already happily planning for the kid to get expelled from the academy forever. Flashing an evil smile, the assistant mentally swears she won't let a freshman place higher than her. Furious at the foul play, Sarah yells for her friend, exposing that this is all a trap set up by bribery. Hearing the noble's warning, the kid gets spooked, confirming he really walked straight into a dirty setup. The arrogant woman tells the girl the kid has zero chance, since they altered the combat program. Putting the pieces together, the MC gets that this explains the beast's ridiculous power spike. Even facing such a huge disadvantage, the young guy swears he wants to walk out with the W no matter what. Desperate, Sarah calls her friend an idiot, asking if he wants to get wiped out in the arena on purpose. Watching the student's stubbornness on the field, the assistant just mocks his persistence. The professor gives the final order, telling the creature to finish the target without mercy, forcing the kid to fall back. The little dragon demands a plan, and the guy deduces that the professor removed all of the beast's weaknesses. Suddenly, the student's expression completely flips when he realizes he just found the enemy's real flaw. Confused by the sudden revelation, the flying pet asks what he means by that. Ido orders the creature to just start blasting fire everywhere possible across the arena. The little dragon obeys instantly, creating an absolute inferno of flames to confuse the target. Pushing through the fire easily, the gigantic beast charges furiously at the two opponents. Watching it all, the professor scoffs, thinking a weak attack like that would never take down his creation. Ignoring the flames, the multi-headed monster charges up a massive amount of electric energy. Annoyed by the beast's audacity, the little dragon warns them not to mess with him and spits even more fire. The beast fires its lightning, tearing through the fire attack, while the young guy just observes the situation. The girl realizes her friend can't win in a straight-up magic duel and wonders what the plan is. With a sharp look, the MC deduces that the creature's weakness is exactly the same as its creator's. He remembers perfectly well that the professor always avoided hand-to-hand combat because he was obsessed with magic. From up high, Sarah finally realizes the guy used the pet as bait to create the perfect opening. The young guy shouts that a cowardly academic could never match up to an experienced war soldier. Taking advantage of the fire's distraction, Ido appears on the monster's back, driving his sword straight down. The precise physical strike stabs deep into the creature's blind spot right in the middle of its back. The professor goes into a total panic when he realizes his precious control chip just got destroyed. Without the limiter, the giant monster short-circuits while electric energy surges all over its body. Highly satisfied with how the plan turned out, Ido smiles, declaring his absolute victory. The pet lands on the ground, exhausted from the effort, and the kid praises their excellent teamwork. With the heavy combat over, Sarah heads down to the arena to join her friend in safety. The noble flashes a bright smile, congratulating the guy on an incredible and intense fight. Staying humble, the MC thanks his classmate and says he only won thanks to his magical partner's help. In the observation room, the cheating duo grinds their teeth, not believing their mod failed. Suddenly, the woman notices nervously that the monster down below is acting super weird. In a panic, the assistant points at the arena, telling the creature to focus on the enemy. But with its system broken, the beast completely loses its mind, building up an insane, destructive aura. The academy alarm starts blaring non-stop, leaving the two cheaters absolutely terrified. The creature turns its back and fires a devastating magic beam straight at the observation booth. Watching the giant attack from a distance, the little dragon notes that the beast has gone totally crazy. Watching the corrupt teachers become the beast's targets, Sarah just sighs, saying that's instant karma. The MC lets out a light laugh, finding it funny that all this chaos is punishing the villains. With the dust settled and the danger handled, peace takes over again by the next morning. Sitting at the table, Ido enjoys a nice breakfast while his little sis feeds the dragon. Luna excitedly mentions that her older brother's academy life is finally going to kick into high gear today. Smiling, he matches her hype, letting her know he already has an interclass event to jump into right away. Chewing his food, the guy explains to his family that winning guarantees them a massive score boost. The little girl cheers enthusiastically, hoping he gets strong classmates to win the challenges. Walking through the academy's massive gardens, the young guy takes a deep breath, ready for his first day of class. The school has the blue class with the scale flag, completely focused on ambition and raw power. There's also the yellow flag class, which values intellect and the sharpest strategies. Finally, the red sword class aims to gather the most daring students focused on direct action. The student focuses on the red flag, wondering what kind of classmates he's going to meet in his new class. Right then, a very familiar voice calls his name excitedly in the middle of the student courtyard. Sarah runs toward her friend looking super happy, revealing they both ended up in the exact same class. Surprised and hyped by the news, Ido thanks her for the support, knowing he's got a great ally by his side. A little awkward about the meetup, Sarah makes sure to clarify she didn't follow the guy there on purpose. Ido tells her to stop being silly and guarantees that with her around, they'll definitely be the strongest class. Just then, a student raises the blue flag, declaring with full swagger that their team is the most powerful of all. Watching the loud duo, the MC agrees they look strong, while the noble just calls them delinquents. The young guy just mentally confirms that those upperclassmen definitely fit the punk vibe perfectly. Suddenly, the feared Professor Ivan shows up, greeting the new kid and warning him he's going to work him to the bone. Caught off guard by the tyrant's presence, the student finally remembers this hellish little detail. With a cynical smile, the educator reveals he's in charge of that class and hands over the student roster for them to cry over. The document shows the official lineup of the Magic Academy's 23rd class for everyone to see. Looking at the clipboard together, Ido and Sarah are completely clueless about what this means. The Farik Tiger team roster clearly shows that almost every single member in the class is just rank F. Shocked by the unfairness, the kid asks how the class distribution ended up being so insanely unbalanced. Looking at his new classmates, he wonders how they're going to compete with a bunch of weaklings on the team. Satisfied with their despair, the sadistic professor just mocks them, wishing them good luck. The noble points out indignantly that all the top students got stacked into the yellow team, creating a massive gap. Putting the puzzle pieces together, the MC quickly deduces exactly what just went down there. The yellow team's leader mocks the freshmen, stating that a bunch of losers will never stand a chance. Annoyed by the arrogance, Ido directly asks what Asura did to set up that rigged squad. The preppy kid casually explains that power is always drawn to wealth, and that's just the basic rule of capitalism. Keeping his superior attitude, he pushes up his glasses, thinking he played the perfect hand to win. The guy gets furious about the cheating, while Sarah asks in shock if he literally just bought the students with money. With total cynicism, the rich kid suggests the noble ditch her class and join them if she's so frustrated. Without hesitating, she turns her head, rejecting the offer and swearing she'd never team up with a coward. Interrupting the courtyard argument, the director's booming voice grabs every student's attention instantly. Standing on the stage, Director Abutra officially announces the start of the first event between the new classes. A giant holographic panel lights up, revealing a detailed map of the region for the exam. Watching the big screen, the MC mentally confirms that the first test really is going to be an orienteering race. The old man explains they need to hit the checkpoints all the way to the finish line using nothing but a map and compass. He adds that each student from the first team to cross the finish line gets a 100-point reward. The crowd goes wild over the prize, realizing a win like this guarantees a rank up for everybody. The director sets the rule that each class can only pick 5 reps to compete in the challenge. Asura gives a smug smile, thinking this will be a breeze since he's mastered acceleration magic. Confident in their brute strength, the blue team punks also think the event is going to be super easy. But Ido keeps a serious face, figuring out this isn't just some simple orienteering race by chance. Bringing back memories from his past life, he remembers the route goes right through the natural habitat of dangerous beasts. He recalls the insane danger from back then, knowing perfectly well that the exam is actually a brutal and bloody trial. Looking at his discouraged classmates, the young guy reflects that in his first life, he was just a low-rank loser too. Clenching his fist tight, the MC promises himself he's going to prove the worth of this reject team. Grabbing the class's attention, Sarah quickly asks what his plan is to even compete under these conditions. Getting straight to the point, the guy asks who among them has lived in the mountains, knows about stars, or has crafting skills. 3 slightly shy students raise their hands, confirming they have the weird specific knowledge he's asking for. Flashing a friendly smile, Ido drafts the trio to form the class's main team along with him and the noble. Insecure about the responsibility, the silver-haired student warns that they're just going to drag the group's performance down. The new kid disagrees, overflowing with confidence, and smiles, swearing they have everything they need to pull off a massive win. Faced with all this sudden conviction, the trio just looks at each other, totally confused by their leader's wild strategy. As they walk, Sarah stays worried, wondering how they're supposed to win while leading a bunch of F-ranks. The director points his gun in the air and fires the shot that officially kicks off the intense forest race. Wasting zero time, the preppy kid casts his acceleration spell to buff his entire team's speed. The yellow team shoots ahead like lightning, while Asura tells his rivals not to get left in the dust. Watching the explosive start, Ido also gives the order for his own group to get moving. The 3 rank F students hesitate and mumble that it's completely impossible to compete with the odds stacked against them like this. The MC asks them to trust him if they don't believe in themselves, reminding them that they're fighting as a team now. Hearing those encouraging words from a top-tier elite student fills the newbies with a ton of hope. Moved by the leader's attitude, the young guy accepts the challenge, guaranteeing the whole group trusts him blindly. Looking down the trail, the guy silently promises he's going to chase down that dream win with this exact team. With morale completely restored, Ido shouts the command, and the red flag squad finally starts their run. Mid-route, the blue class meatheads force their march, wanting to take the lead in the race through pure brutality. They run over anyone in their way, telling people to get out of the path with a lot of shoving and aggression. However, Azur's team flies by on the side, leaving the punks totally blown away by how fast they are. Annoyed by the humiliating pass, the big guy accuses the rich kid of blatantly using acceleration magic. The blue team leader grumbles indignantly, watching the rich rivals vanish over the horizon so easily. Keeping his lead, Asura flexes about having converted the team's entire combat capacity into pure speed. The punk curses in total frustration, since nobody on his useless squad knows how to use that kind of advanced magic. Far from the starting chaos, the red team keeps their own pace, running down a more isolated dirt path. Suddenly, Ido raises his hand, signaling for everyone to halt their march right there in the middle of the trail. Panting, one of the kids asks why the sudden pause when they're in such a huge rush to win. The MC opens the map and reminds his silver-haired classmate that he knows the mountains in this area super well. Scanning the document, the freshman points out the river route, asking if that's the exact path to the checkpoint. The guy confirms the route is doable, but warns that doing this would mean a massive detour from the race's original path. Even so, the leader decides to go that way, while Sarah insists on using acceleration magic so they don't lose time. Shutting down the idea immediately, Ido states with conviction that speed alone isn't going to be enough to win. Meanwhile, the yellow team continues their relentless advance, cutting through a much more open and rocky area. Asura analyzes the race, absolutely certain that victory is locked in if they keep up this accelerated pace. But the group's confidence completely crumbles when they run into something terrifying right in the middle of the trail. A giant werewolf monster blocks the way, making the students panic over the sudden lethal danger. Facing the monster head-on, Asura realizes the situation is awful. He instantly regrets not picking combat-focused members for the team. Just then, a powerful axe strike comes slicing through the air, heading straight for the threatening creature. Caught completely off guard by the sudden attack, the yellow team leader has no clue what's going on. The rival team's brute steps on the downed monster, bragging about how easy that was. Full of swagger, he guarantees a beast at that level is no big deal. Analyzing the scene, the rich kid is impressed to see Giulio eliminate the enemy with a single hit. Right behind him, the entire blue team walks up. Their leader mocks the rich kids, telling them to go home if they can't even handle the basics. Frustrated by the humiliation, Asura curses bitterly for dumping all his points purely into speed. Ignoring his rival, the punk tells his teammate not to get in the way because he was going to take the beast out himself. Showing major cruelty, the big guy just agrees and says in that case, he'll leave the fun to him. Wasting no time, the blue class leader casts an electric spell and fires at full force at a new creature that just showed up. With the magic hitting dead center, the werewolf lets out a roar of pain while the students watch the scene in shock. Totally annoyed by the outside interference, the preppy kid tells the rivals to mind their own business. Laughing at the situation, the punk says he'll wait for them at the finish line and tells them to try and survive. Far from all that mess, Ido's team continues their exhausting hike through the dense forest. Trying to hype up the tired squad, the silver-haired kid points out there's a tree with some great fruit just ahead. Hearing this news brings immediate relief to the students. They get pretty excited about the idea of taking a short break to rest up. Watching their classmate guide everyone, Sarah mentions to Ido that picking Libra to help with the route was the perfect call. Worried about the race clock, one of the students asks if the other classes aren't already on their way to the second checkpoint. Oozing chill vibes, the team leader replies nope, he bets that right at this very moment, their rivals are probably in deep trouble. Back on the main trail, the blue team leader screams in total outrage, unable to believe what he's seeing up ahead. The only bridge crossing the ravine was totally wrecked by some beast. Even worse, this unexpected obstacle wasn't marked on the map at all. Carefully checking the route, the brute realizes their only option now is to take a massive detour following the riverbank. Wasting zero time complaining, the punk points the way and orders his whole team to run as fast as possible down that path. Watching it all from the monitoring room, the academy director is shocked by the massive chaos on the course. The holographic screen clearly shows that every team in the race ended up bumping into each other on the exact same detour route. Checking the leaderboard panel, the old man is amazed to see that the team of reject students has taken a solo lead in the event. Walking casually across the rocks, Ido's group keeps pushing through the forest without hitting a single roadblock. The director thinks to himself, impressed, wondering if the freshman predicted all of this from the start, confirming the kid is a literal genius. Motivating his tired teammates, the MC points ahead, letting them know the checkpoint is already super close. Through the trees, a small stone structure featuring an owl statue finally pops up at the end of the trail. Celebrating hard, the leader runs ahead to the statue, announcing they finally reached their goal. He quickly notices there are still 3 intact red stones sitting on the base of the marker owl. The lower-class students are shocked by the discovery. The short-haired girl asks excitedly if this means they got there first. Holding the small red object in his hand, Ido cheers loud and confirms the red team is leading the race. Super curious about the flawless strategy, the silver-haired girl asks how he knew that was the exact right way to go. Scratching his face kind of awkwardly to keep his secret safe, the guy lies, saying it was just a lucky guess. Observing her friend's natural leadership, Sarah secretly concludes that with him around, the team has a huge shot at winning. But the peace doesn't last long at all. Suddenly, the MC gets startled when he notices a pair of blue lights glowing in the woods. Sensing the imminent danger, he lets out a curse, spinning his body quickly to brace for the worst. The other students instantly go into full panic mode. They scream in terror at the threat that just emerged from the shadows. A massive, terrifying beast with horns jumps out of the bushes, revealing itself to be a dangerous monster from this forest. Desperate about the power gap, the classmate tells everyone to run, guaranteeing they'll never beat a beast like that. Keeping his stance firm, the leader rejects running immediately. He warns them that the only way forward is to take down the enemy right here. The group keeps shaking in fear, trying to find a way out. They complain that nobody told them there were beasts guarding the zone. Ignoring the panic, the MC draws his sword with absolute conviction and orders everyone to gear up and fight right now. Completely shocked by the suicide order, the students protest, reminding him they're just from the school's lowest tier class. Staring the monster down, the guy hears his classmate insist that running is the only logical choice for a weak squad like them. Keeping his sword raised, Ido asks a harsh question, wanting to know if they would run away if their own families were being attacked too. The weight of those words hits the students hard. They fall completely silent in the face of the harsh reality of war. Without taking his eyes off the massive beast stepping closer, the young guy takes charge of the situation to protect everyone. Memories of the past flood his mind. He remembers the day he tried to protect his little sis and swears to have the strength to save her now. With eyes burning with fury, the leader declares that this is exactly why he refuses to back down when facing danger. Inspired by his guts, the classmate steps up, drawing her own weapon, even though she calls the guy's move pure insanity. Right behind her, the other girl grips her hands tight, repeating the MC's name, admiring his flawless attitude. Catching the urge to win, the other team members also get into combat positions, wanting to get stronger. Super satisfied with their mindset, the MC feels a massive wave of pride and calls on the team to level up together in this fight. A bit further back, Sarah watches the hyped-up squad, knowing her friend was the one who gave them that confidence. Focused on the fight, Libra asks if the leader has a strategy in mind and promises to help with whatever's needed. The young guy searches his past life memories, recalling when he saw the great captain defeat this exact same beast by targeting its antenna. With the plan set, Ido charges in, telling the team to focus on the monster's weak point while he acts as the main bait. Sprinting at top speed, the red team leader rushes in fearlessly to grab the giant beast's attention. The monster immediately locks onto the bold kid and raises its massive glowing claw, ready to crush the tiny human threat. At the perfect moment, the MC raises his hand, casting a powerful summon spell, and a colossal aura of fire erupts. Watching the magic power from a distance, the newbies are amazed, thinking that's some insanely high-level skill. But the energy just reveals the tiny magic dragon yawning lazily and asking why he got called out. Ignoring the lazy attitude, the guy tells him nap time is over. The flying creature stares down the blue monster and agrees to join the brawl. Without blinking, the little dragon fires a devastating blast of flames straight into the wild beast's face. Using the incredible opening created by the pet, the young guy praises the hit and jumps in to deliver a sword strike. The beast tries to counterattack on pure instinct, but the kid manages to block the massive claw using his blade. Completely irritated by the target's resistance, the horned monster roars, showing off all its aggressive wild side. Seeing the bait work perfectly, the rest of the squad grips their weapons and charges in, yelling that it's time. Suddenly, the monster turns its head toward the students, flashing a creepy energy coming out of its giant mouth. Spooked by the scare, the group slams the brakes instantly, panicking when they see the beast zero in on them. Worried about them hesitating, Ido begs them not to quit now, reminding them that on the battlefield it's do or die. Flying nearby, the dragon calls his master dramatic and tells him to notice the harmless color of the beast's eyes. Keeping his cool, Ido points out that this is just a phantom training beast and promises the thing isn't actually going to eliminate anyone. He hypes the group up, saying that taking down the monster with their own hands will give them the confidence they need to start getting stronger. In his head, the guy remembers the world being destroyed and realizes they need to level up together so they can protect this place. Channeling Major Leader energy, the MC calls on his squad, demanding they fight right by his side in this battle. Inspired by the leader's words, one of the newbies grips his sword handle tight, building up serious courage for the incoming fight. Libra agrees with the plan right away, firmly stating his huge desire to become a way more powerful warrior. Right after, the girl confesses she hates just being an F rank, and the other student says he wants to become a strong mage just like the leader. Happy with the group's attitude, the young guy smiles, praising everyone's new mindset and guarantees they have the talent to grow. Going on the offensive, Ido asks Sarah for magic backup, and she instantly casts a devastating electric spell. The attack hits the beast dead-on, scattering blue lightning, taking advantage of the opening. The MC praises his partner and preps a magic combo. Yelling at the top of his lungs, the guy gives the final signal for the rest of the team to charge the target all at once. Without hesitating, the student grips his weapon and leaps fast at the enemy, delivering a super heavy strike from the air. Right behind him, the silver-haired teammate also lands a clean cut, swearing he's absolutely not losing this fight. Working in perfect sync, the two girls in the group ready their staffs and fire off attacks right at the creature. The team's relentless combo hits the training monster with absolute precision, knocking the giant opponent right to the ground. Exhausted after the intense exchange of hits, the kid lets out a heavy breath, trying to get his wind back. Still panting from the insane effort, Libra asks in relief if they actually managed to take the creature down. Ido confirms the win, bursting with pride, praising their excellent teamwork while the beast rests defeated. The crew celebrates the battle's result hard, thanking their leader and saying they only pulled it off thanks to his help. Staying humble, the MC flashes a genuine smile, showing he feels they can beat any challenge if they stick together. The squad gets back to walking united through the forest, with the guy hyping everyone to keep pushing toward the exam's goal. A little while later, the team finally reaches the owl statue clearing, cheering excitedly that they hit the checkpoint. On another part of the map, the yellow team's preppy kid goes into shock when he finds out they're in second place, losing to the rejects. Annoyed by the setback, the blue team leader flashes an evil smile, guaranteeing he's going to find a way to mess with the frontrunners. Catching on to the brute's sketchy intentions, Asura calls him out and begs the guy not to pull any crazy, impulsive stunts. Ignoring the cowardly warning, the punk attacks the containment owl with his sword, making the preppy kid scream that it was the protection seal. The heavy strike hits the small stone statue dead center, shattering the magical artifact into pieces on the ground. Totally satisfied with his own sabotage, the cheater mocks them, celebrating that the area's security seal was successfully destroyed. Far away, Ido notices some weird movement in the woods and gets spooked, wondering if another creature snuck up on them. From the dense shadows of the forest, several glowing red eyes suddenly appear, leaving everyone terrified of the new threat. Staring into the darkness with max tension, Ido instantly realizes this isn't an illusion and wonders if a real beast just woke up. Near the smashed statue, the yellow team is shocked to discover their score just dropped to third place. The kid with glasses grinds his teeth in pure rage, cursing indignantly about losing to Ido's useless squad. Eaten up by frustration, he yells at his teammates, demanding they walk faster so they don't embarrass him in the exam. Suddenly, those same terrifying red eyes pop up in the bushes right next to the upper-class students. The preppy kid with glasses goes wide-eyed, getting a massive jump scare from the creepy creature lurking in the dark. Overcome by absolute panic, he stumbles backward, coming face to face with the monstrous beast that's about to strike. The huge monster brutally attacks the group, launching one of the students into the air while the poor guy screams for help. Seeing the creature's insane strength, the kid panics, having no idea why there's so much sudden ferocity in the exam. Looking closely at that bloodthirsty stare, he realizes in terror that the monster has awakened its instincts like a real magical beast. The relentless creature charges, tearing up the dirt and running over the defenseless students with brutal, merciless violence. Like a total coward, the student with glasses turns his back and sprints through the forest, desperate to save his own skin. During his shameful retreat, he still has the nerve to scream orders, demanding the rest of the team keep protecting him. Watching that pathetic scene, one of the allies realizes in terror that the nobles literally just left their classmate to meet his end. Far from the massacre, Ido's team runs at full speed through an open area, with the leader promising to finish first no matter the cost. During the sprint, the guy figures his squad has zero chance against an awakened monster and swears to protect everyone somehow. Suddenly, the student points super excitedly at a massive building just ahead, announcing they found the second checkpoint. The whole group stops in front of the place's imposing doors, with Ido commenting that it looks more like a giant, old library. Looking at the sketchy entrance, the MC stays cautious, wondering what kind of surprise might be waiting for them inside. A cold shiver runs up the kid's arm, and he immediately notices the presence of hostile magic energy in the room. Walking into the dark place packed with shelves, Ido finds it all super creepy but promises his friends they're safe together. Walking quietly down the hall, the young guy suddenly turns his head when he notices something weird in the dark. Out of nowhere, dozens of books start flying off the shelves at top speed, shooting out like violent projectiles. The team tries to dodge the rain of magic objects, with Sarah screaming in fear and the leader totally confused by this bizarre attack. Staring at a glowing book, the kid realizes the object's magic is insane and tells everyone to go on high alert. Acting on instinct, the MC reaches out his hand, shouting the command to pop his powerful light shield. The spell completely fizzles, leaving the student in shock, staring at his own hand, clueless as to why his magic failed. Taking advantage of the zero defense, a magic flash explodes, swallowing Ido and Sarah all at once right in front of the group. Completely disoriented by the teleport spell, the young guy falls upside down into a void, letting out a groan of pain. After hitting the floor, he wakes up next to the knocked-out noble girl and quickly deduces they got warped somewhere else. The surrounding area just shows an isolated room lit by a single window, proving they got separated from their friends. Ido asks if they walked into a trap, but the girl isn't sure either and just warns that the mana in the room is way denser. Through that dark fog, the dangerous silhouette of a wolf-like beast starts to sneakily take shape. The guy squints, paying close attention, instantly noticing the creepy approach of that magical thing. The smoke starts to clear among the scattered books, finally revealing who the new mystery threat in the room is. Faced with this bizarre and unexpected appearance, Ido and Sarah go wide-eyed, completely frozen by the sudden scare. A grotesque bone monster steps out roaring loud, backed by the figure of a silver-haired guy staring down at the MC. Overwhelmed by massive emotion, the noble calls out her late older brother's name with tears already filling her eyes. Ido asks about their relation in surprise, and Sarah confirms that he was the brother who passed away fighting a beast a long time ago. With her face soaked from crying hard, the girl recalls between sobs that the guy sacrificed his own life to keep her safe. The cruel memories show a giant monster surrounded by fire while the kid opened his arms, acting as a human shield for his sister. In the traumatic scene, the little kid reaches out, screaming desperately for her brother while the flames burn everything. The giant beast chomps the hero in one bite, making the little girl beg through her tears for the monster to give her family back. Snapping back to the painful present, Sarah drops to her knees, pulling her hair in a heavy crying fit while begging for forgiveness nonstop. The enemy duo waits for the clash, while the noble destroys herself with guilt for feeling just as useless now as she did back then. Ido instantly realizes that Sarah's brother couldn't possibly be there. He quickly concludes they've been hit by a mental attack spell. The young guy focuses on the threat, trying to keep his cool amidst all the tension, holding the shaken girl by the shoulders. Right then, the kid's mind gets invaded by a dark memory of the giant beast grabbing his own little sister. The terrifying image of Luna getting crushed by the monster comes back to haunt his head. Overcome by sudden panic, he goes into a state of shock hearing her name echoing. The illusion of the silver-haired guy stares at the duo, asking in a confused tone who that girl calling for him was. This psychological torture makes the MC relive the bitter taste of his first life. He remembers how he failed to protect his own family. Boiling with rage, the kid realizes the enemy magic is just playing around with his biggest regret. Using the opening, the two grotesque bone monsters start stepping slowly toward them. Despair takes over the noble, who pulls her friend's arm, begging for them to get the heck out of there fast. But the team leader keeps his stance unshakable and lets her know that running isn't an option. Faced with the confusion, the guy explains that this place is a trial chamber designed to make them face their own past. With that, he guarantees his partner that they're going to plant their feet right here and fight with everything they've got. Hearing that determination makes Sarah pull herself together, inspired by her teammates' insane courage. Wasting no time, Ido jumps with major agility right at the giant beasts, ready to kick off the fight. The freshman reaffirms that he's not the same loser from the past anymore and promises to beat this mental attack. The colossal bone beast takes its stance, tanking the frontal assault without stepping back a single inch. Charging in hard, the guy swears that this time he's going to save his little sis without relying on anyone. Mid-jump, he tries to conjure a fire spell to boost his direct strike. The blade slices through the air at top speed straight for the target. Frustrated when the spell fizzles, the young guy realizes his magic is also sealed inside this room. He feels like something important is missing, and gets a huge scare when he grips the weapon handle tight. Ido realizes the late captain's magic bracelet vanished from his wrist. He figures his body actually regressed to the past. Spotting the incoming danger, the noble screams her partner's name desperately to warn him. The giant monster uses the distraction and throws a devastating punch at the defenseless student. Staring down his own demise, the kid admits that his old self would never be able to beat a creature of this level. The shadow of the giant fist covers the boy's face, fully aware that one mistake here means game over. Sarah screams in terror at the scene, begging her friend to run from that lethal attack. Fighting back the fear, the MC completely flips his vibe, taking on a sharp and super confident stance. Ido blocks the colossal hit, crossing his own sword against the beast's fist to shield himself. Bearing the weight of the strike, the young guy declares he's done running. He guarantees he has to fight even without his gear. The noble mumbles his name, totally amazed seeing her teammate hold back that insane force all by himself. The clash between the sword and the creature's fist sends a heavy shockwave across the room. Using pure brute force, Ido shoves the monster back, stating he refuses to go back to being the coward he used to be. Riding the momentum, he unleashes a slash so fast and precise that it creates a freezing gust of wind. The girl is shocked to see he managed to launch an attack from that distance without even needing to dodge first. Keeping up the flawless offense, the team leader decides to wrap this fight up once and for all. With a powerful jump, the kid attacks, saying goodbye to the loser version of his past. The sharp blade slices through the monster in a perfect diagonal cut with zero resistance. Right after, the enemy's grotesque body collapses onto the floor of the dark hall. Sarah is blown away by her partner's ability to go toe-to-toe with the beast without using a drop of magic. Checking out his own hands, the student is relieved to confirm that his current physical stats stayed the same. Gaining even more confidence, he realizes he's totally capable of beating the trial using pure sword skills. The MC tells his friend firmly not to get fooled by that cheap illusion of her brother. But the girl is still locked up by hesitation, feeling the heavy weight of guilt. The noble grips her uniform and confesses, super shaken, that she doesn't have the guts to attack the image of her own family. Annoyed by her weakness, Ido scolds her. He asks if she didn't decide to become a mage specifically because of his sacrifice. The freshman's harsh words hit the girl dead center, waking her up to the cruel reality. Sarah wipes her tears and lifts her head, stating with intense drive that she wants to get strong. Taken over by fresh determination, she yells that she's going to become the relentless warrior the guy always dreamed of. Satisfied with the attitude shift, the team leader calls on his partner so they can fight side by side for the win. The young leader tells her to focus on the target missing an arm. His teammate confirms the plan without hesitating. Working as a team, the MC charges in fearlessly to draw the attention of the grotesque beasts. The girl grips her staff tight, silently swearing she's going to make the fallen hero's big dream come true. On the flip side, the student also promises himself that he's going to grab all the power he needs to save his little sis. Channeling a ton of strength into his arm, Ido delivers an incredibly heavy frontal strike, yelling for the beast to eat that. The sword's impact shatters the monster's defense, brutally throwing the creature off balance backward. The noble spots the perfect opening, seeing the tactic work, and announces that it's her time to shine. With flawless precision, Sarah lands a powerful spell right in the bone enemy's blind spot. Super happy with the positive outcome of her bravery, the student celebrates, feeling a massive wave of relief. Cutting the early celebration short, Ido tells his partner to pay attention because the fight isn't over yet. A green aura wraps around the down monsters, showing they used healing magic to wipe out all the damage they took. Shocked by the broken move, the noble hears her friend point out that regular physical attacks aren't going to fix this. Suddenly, the rest of the squad comes running down the hall, yelling that they showed up to help with the fight too. The leader turns his head to look at his subordinates, totally blindsided by their unexpected arrival. Worried about their safety, the kid thinks an awakened rank C beast is way too dangerous for the freshman. Catching his hesitation, Libra states it would be super cowardly to leave all the heavy lifting just to the duo. Dripping with confidence, the silver-haired kid proudly reminds him that they literally just took down a monster solo a little while ago. Sarah is amazed hearing that the three rejects managed to drop a real creature without their leader. The girl reflects, totally charmed, about how that scared trio managed to level up so much in such a short time. The MC concludes that the newbies also beat the room's trials after seeing their determination. Hyped by his squad's unity, Ido accepts the backup with excitement and calls everyone to fight together. But the joy is short-lived. A dark statue shaped like a wolf pops out of the ground right in front of them. The sculpture's stone eyes start glowing with a super intense and threatening blue light in the dark. A blue fire spell suddenly takes over the area, scaring the students with this unknown magic. Watching the blue glow all around, Ido notices something weird about the magic bookshelves. He quickly gets Sarah's attention, telling his teammate to read the spines of the books horizontally. The letters carved into the books clearly spell out the sealing magic phrase. Surprised, the girl asks if that's the mechanism blocking their power. Deep in thought, the MC analyzes the situation, trying to find a quick way out for the group. He flashes a hyped smile, confirming that with this find they can actually win the fight. Wasting no time, the kid rushes straight for the glowing shelf, looking super determined. But he notices a letter and decides it's not the time to just stand around reading old books. The guy starts messing with the objects, rearranging the exact sequence of the hidden words. Right then, the horned beast pops up out of nowhere right behind Sarah and the rest of the squad. Going all out, the giant monster delivers a devastating punch that shakes the library floor. In a desperate move, the noble tries to cast her protection magic to defend herself. Frustrated, she realizes her own mana is still completely useless in that hall. The violent impact launches the newbies away like they weigh absolutely nothing. Staring down the monster's paw, the girl swallows hard since she can't even pop her shield. Suddenly, the wolf statue's stone eyes glow intensely in the darkness. The giant beast roars right in the noble's face, leaving the girl absolutely terrified. Spooked by the incoming attack, Ido yells that they're totally done for if nothing happens. Shoving the book's spine as fast as he can, he clicks the final letter into place on the shelf. The new book sequence flashes a powerful light, spelling out a completely different phrase. As an immediate response, the wolf statue lets out a magical howl that echoes through the room. Hugely relieved, the MC flashes a confident smile, confirming his plan actually worked. A glowing energy floods the entire hall, leaving everyone confused by what's going on. Looking at her partner, Sarah asks what the heck he just did to cause that. Super chill, the leader explains he just rearranged the books, swapping their spots. The enchanted shelf now shows the right order, revealing the hidden message about the wise man. Impressed by the genius move, the noble praises her teammate for catching the anagram trick. Full of swagger, the kid claims that this is definitely going to break the magic seal for good. Internally, he admits he never would have figured out the riddle if it weren't for his past memories. The young guy remembers clearly that back in the day, military orders were all given in code. He recalls the times he had to decode encrypted documents during war missions. It becomes super clear to the kid that his painful past ended up becoming his biggest flex today. Drawing his sword, Ido calls his squad to knock all the beasts down at once. But the massive monster roars furiously, threatening to charge heavily at the two students. Raising his blade to the sky, the leader demands that all his magic power come back right now. Riding the momentum, Sarah quickly casts a super strong fire spell. The blast of fire hits one of the creatures dead on, dealing some solid damage to the enemy. Right then, the MC summons a lightning sword, triggering a ridiculous electric explosion. Clenching his fist, he cheers, hyped to feel that his magic is finally back to normal. Without hesitating for a second, the young guy takes off like lightning, rushing straight to the front line. At max speed, the kid delivers a lethal slash to the scaly creature. The beast tanks the massive electric attack and takes heavy damage with the lightning tearing through its body. Locked into the intense battle, the warrior lands on the ground, keeping his total focus on the enemy. The giant monster finally collapses defeated, kicking up a ton of dust on the smooth floor of the hall. Amazed by the epic scene, the newbies celebrate the elimination off a single clean hit. Thinking the brawl is over, the guy states excitedly that they managed to beat the challenge. Right after, he praises Sarah, acknowledging she did awesome with that fire attack. However, the downed creature's eye starts glowing intensely again, proving it's still alive. Spotting the lethal threat, the kid curses, warning them that the beast hasn't really kicked the bucket yet. A giant, sinister magic portal starts forming right on the high ceiling of the old library. Multiple deadly beams start raining down, tearing up the area around the terrified students. The noble goes into shock, realizing she could never block advanced magic like that. A colossal energy spear drops from the portal, aiming straight to crush the whole team without mercy. With zero hope of surviving, the freshman girl just accepts that this is the end of the line for her. The MC narrows his eyes quickly, totally determined to stop this cowardly massacre. Acting purely on defense instincts, he projects a massive hexagonal shield protecting everyone. Holding up the heavy barrier, Ido sighs in relief that he managed to cast it in time. Sarah stutters, mind blown, seeing that he dropped an advanced defense spell in a fraction of a second. Staring at her classmate's back, she can't hide the massive admiration she feels for him. The girl reflects silently, realizing the new kid is just getting stronger and stronger. The freshman points frantically, screaming for the leader to watch out right in front of him. The massive beast charges furiously, charging up some dangerous fire magic in its giant mouth. Dodging the blazing attack, the guy gets that the monster can easily sling advanced spells too. Without taking a single step back, Ido breaks into a sprint, guaranteeing he won't lose in a speed battle. Keeping absolute focus on the fight, he analyzes the best moment to try and launch a counterattack. Unexpectedly, the kid slams on the brakes hard, marking the stone floor with a lot of force. Sarah is totally confused and spooked, not understanding her partner's sudden pause. Magic spears threaten to explode, creating a literal lethal minefield all over the zone. Terrified by the imminent danger, the noble screams, telling everyone to run away from there as fast as possible. Ignoring its own magic, the colossal beast locks onto the MC, letting out a deafening roar. Like a runaway bulldozer, the monster charges heavily at the defenseless students. The group spirals into absolute despair, realizing the beast is coming right at them, going all out. The silver-haired girl swallows hard, watching her own demise closing in fast. Suddenly, Ido appears flying right over the beast, flexing his insane agility in the air. With a sharp slash mid-flight, he confidently announces that nobody can beat him when it comes to speed. After the fast strike, Ido lands in a crouch while the giant beast takes the impact of the cut, falling backward. Sheathing his sword super casually, the guy figures this annoying problem is finally handled. Right then, his teammates run over to him, super relieved to see their leader made it out of the battle without a scratch. Sarah immediately scolds her friend, telling him he shouldn't scare everybody like a crazy person. A bit embarrassed, the MC apologizes and silently admits he still needs to train to get way stronger. With the path cleared of danger, he places the red stone on the statue, confirming they cleared the second checkpoint. Wasting no time, the leader gets the group's attention and tells everyone to keep pushing on their long hike through the forest. In the monitoring room, the observers are impressed noticing that the red team is already heading to the third stage. Eaten up by rage, Professor Ivan curses under his breath, swearing he won't let that meddling freshman walk away with the win. The sadistic educator conjures some sketchy purple energy in his hand while silently triggering a cheat spell. Dripping with pure cynicism, the man claims he finally held up his end of the secret deal he made with Asura. Far out of everyone's sight, Giulio and his squad of punks are still running desperately down the event trail. Suddenly, the wild monsters that were brutally chasing the group just vanish into thin air. The red-haired veteran hits the brakes hard, totally confused and having no clue why the beasts vanished out of nowhere like that. Using the bizarre situation, his partner figures it was pure luck and tells the leader to pick up the pace so they can win. Interrupting their sprint, Asura shows up on the path, calling out the red-haired brute with a ton of arrogance. The preppy kid demands an immediate thank you, claiming he was the one who made the creatures disappear. Staring down the rival with glasses, the punk keeps a super annoyed stance, not liking that cocky attitude one bit. Giulio asks how he pulled that off and hears that the rich kid simply bribed Professor Ivan with cash. Super confident in his dirty plan, Asura reveals he told the professor to cast another spell to mess with the other teams. On the other map route, Ido's team is walking with a lot of trouble because of an extremely thick fog. Checking the compass, the leader announces that the goddess statue is close and promises the group a quick break to rest. Forno finds the detailed info weird and asks how the MC knows that specific statue is right there. Caught totally off guard, the kid stutters, knowing he can't spill the memories from his past life. During the slow walk, one of the freshmen in the group frustratedly notices he ended up losing his handkerchief on the trail. To fix the issue, Ido quickly offers his own white handkerchief to his classmate, who thanks him for being a bro right away. But the major danger is still lurking in the forest shadows, with red eyes glowing in the thick fog. In another isolated spot on the map, one of the yellow team members suddenly gets his teammate's attention. He quickly points at a white handkerchief caught on a branch right in the middle of the damp dirt trail. Asura's squad instantly deduces that the item belongs to the rival team and decides to speed up their march to finally catch them. Paying close attention to the forest, the yellow team leader spots their next objective and celebrates, letting his allies know. He finds a wooden sign shaped like a woodpecker, remembering the solid tip given by the corrupt professor. With their lead locked in, the rich kid tells his whole team to follow that direction fast without wasting any time. Hidden behind the massive trees, the red-haired punk and his squad secretly spy on everything going down. Watching the scene, Giulio realizes the preppy rival is clearly getting insider info for the exam. The brute partner gets furious about the blatant cheating and threatens to wipe the floor with the rich kid right there. To keep the group chill, the redhead advises his buddy to use those cowardly rich kids to their own advantage in the test. Right after, he orders his team to tail Asura's squad super closely, without making a sound so they don't get caught. While the cheating goes on, Ido is completely lost when he realizes something went very wrong on their route. The whole group stops at the edge of a giant cliff, having no clue how they ended up in this dangerous dead end. Terrified by the bad situation, the silver-haired freshman gets the leader's attention, showing an even bigger problem in his hand. The compass needle is spinning like crazy, proving that the entire area's magnetic field is totally messed up. Sarah checks the map, super frustrated, confirming they took the wrong path and ended up getting lost in the forest. Comparing the drawn routes, it becomes obvious that the team wandered into a dangerous and uncharted part of the mountain. Deep in thought, the MC finds the anomaly weird, remembering this didn't happen in this exact part of the event in the past. Looking at the broken device in his hands, he concludes the navigation gear just became completely useless. Surrounded by the cold fog, the kid keeps wondering why the magnetic field would fail in this specific spot on the map. It finally clicks, and the team leader realizes someone set up a highly planned magic trap for them. Worried about falling behind, the noble calls on her partner, demanding a quick plan to get them out of this massive mess. The freshman desperately warns that the sun is already setting and walking in the pitch black would be literal suicide. Going against the squad's general panic, the MC firmly declares that their best bet is to just wait for nightfall. The whole group is mind-blown by the leader's call, asking what the big reason is for having such a risky idea. Pointing at his silver-haired classmate, Ido reveals that the job of guiding the team is going to be entirely on him now. The new kid trusts Forno's astrology knowledge, asking him to use the stars in the sky as their navigation map. Realizing the genius strategy, Sarah gets hyped while the silver-haired kid accepts the big mission, overflowing with confidence. Watching the leader, the girl reflects in awe, wondering if he already predicted all these problems from the jump. Packed with determination, Ido hypes everyone up, swearing the test isn't over and they're going to fight until they win. With the sky completely dark, Forno takes the lead, scanning the environment with intense focus to find the right route. The noble checks the magically lit paper, confirming that heading south is going to guarantee an excellent shortcut for the group. With his eyes on the night stars, the team guide pinpoints the exact spot where everyone needs to march. The silver-haired kid points excitedly at the Southern Cross, explaining that the constellation points straight south on the map. Super happy with the call, Ido thanks him for the support, patting his buddy's shoulder and tells him to lead the night hike. A bit later, the group arrives at the ancient ruins, confirming it's the official entrance to the third checkpoint. At the spot, a large stone statue lit by magic torches marks the correct path the students need to follow. Torch in hand, the preppy kid celebrates arriving first and tells his team to keep up the pace to secure the win. Hiding in the rock shadows, Giulio calls his rival an idiot, sarcastically thanking him for showing them the way for free. While the yellow team heads deep into the dungeon, the punk gets ready to make his move, using their total distraction. Dripping with pure malice, the blue team leader orders his guys to dump water on all the torches at the dungeon entrance. His partner gets that the target of this sabotage is Ido and praises his own commander's great dirty ideas. Consumed by evil, the red-haired brute guarantees he has zero morals and will do whatever it takes to win the tournament. With the flames completely out, he celebrates the trap they set and tells his allies to focus on passing Asura for good. Fast as lightning, the blue team enters the dark hallway of the ruins, leaving the entrance completely pitch black behind them. Outside, the red team is still running through the dense forest, keeping their path guided solely by the stars. Panting heavily from the massive physical effort, the students zip through the bushes quickly while the leader pushes everyone's pace. The MC praises the team guide, acknowledging that thanks to him, they managed to make up all the time they lost in the race. Looking at the leader with admiration, the noble asks if he specifically picked Forno because he foresaw the risk of them getting lost in the woods. Flashing a friendly smile, Ido stays quiet while the girl internally admits her partner is pretty incredible. Just ahead, a large stone statue finally appears, marking the secret entrance to the dark ruins. Super hyped, the team reaches the spot, celebrating that they finally managed to hit the race's objective. However, Sarah notices something very weird on the ground and immediately points out the big problem to everyone. Several snuffed-out torches tossed into a puddle of water prove that someone passed through here recently. Outraged by the cowardly move, the silver-haired kid curses, realizing their rivals messed with the lighting on purpose. Deep in thought, the MC considers asking Amy to craft a new torch, but quickly scraps that useless idea. Staring at his own glowing hand, the kid figures he can use a special trick to fix the situation. Faced with the absolute darkness of the tunnel, the team panics, stating it's impossible to keep marching like this. Flexing total confidence, the leader raises his hand and tells the crew to leave this minor issue to him. Wasting zero time, Ido activates a magic skill, creating a super bright orb of light to illuminate the whole area. He thinks back to his past life, finding it funny that a spell everyone considered trash before is saving the group now. With the path finally lit, the team starts walking again, celebrating that they don't even need torches. Taking the front of the group, the kid tells everyone to speed up so they don't waste any more time. In another hallway, the blue team runs in a rush, carrying torches to light up the dark dungeon. Suddenly, the punk slams on the brakes, completely annoyed and clueless as to what the heck is going on there. Standing in front of another statue marked with the number 4, they realize in frustration that they took the wrong path again. Terrified of the endless maze, the ally asks desperately how they're going to make it through this place. The situation gets worse when they find statue number 3, proving they're literally just walking in circles going nowhere. Exhausted and totally out of breath, the cheaters bitterly accept that they walked into a labyrinth-style dungeon. The red-haired leader grinds his teeth, boiling with rage seeing his master plan to win completely going down the drain. Meanwhile, the red team calmly inspects the starting statue that's holding a glowing gem. Faced with 3 identical dark paths, the group is confused about which tunnel they should pick now. Ido explains to the noble that they'll only reach the finish line if they get every single route right in a row. Memories pop up showing that in the past, his team failed miserably in this exact same maze. But with a sharp look and tons of confidence, the MC mentally swears he knows the answer to beat it. Calling his silver-haired classmate over, the leader asks if that stone sculpture represents the constellation of Orion. Forno confirms the guess instantly, explaining that Orion is a super famous giant from mythology. The kid adds to the info, firmly stating that the mythical figure was a legendary great hunter. With an excited smile, the leader announces that it's finally time for the team guide to shine again. The guy points at the sculpture and asks his friend to trace the route connecting the rooms like stars in the constellation. Caught off guard by the genius strategy, Sarah's eyes go wide, completely mind-blown by the idea. The girl asks her partner if this is really the big hidden trick to beat this labyrinth. A little insecure, the silver-haired kid asks if he's being serious, and hears back that he's the only one capable of guiding them to the exit. Analyzing the first drawn star of the constellation, the guide immediately starts planning out the imaginary route. Flexing some newfound confidence, Forno points firmly at the hallway, revealing the correct path. Very happy with the result, the leader takes the front, telling everyone to follow their classmate without fear. The other freshman hugs his friend, celebrating happily that they have such a smart guide in the group. With the direction finally locked in, the red team goes back to running through the dark halls of the dungeon. Watching the leader, the noble girl deduces in awe that he picked these members, already anticipating the roadblocks. Hyped about their flawless progress, the MC yells that they have this in the bag and pushes the team to hurry. A few hours pass and the group keeps walking chill, celebrating their excellent progress. The sound of their footsteps echoes through the tunnel, showing that the end of the big challenge is getting closer and closer for them. Suddenly, Forno flashes a huge smile and points excitedly at something glowing at the end of the stone hallway. Reaching statue number 8, the group celebrates, realizing that must be the absolute final marker on the path. The freshman points euphorically at the only remaining hallway, letting them know the finish line is right there. Super grateful, Amy thanks the silver-haired kid, swearing they never would have made it this far without his help. Being modest, Forno denies taking the credit, guaranteeing the win was only possible because the leader solved the riddle. Ido notices the girl staring at something with a ton of curiosity and quickly asks what caught her eye. With her eyes locked on the stone sculpture, the new girl murmurs, intrigued when she spots a very different detail. She quickly points to a mysterious key hanging around the massive statue's neck. Full of hope, the student grabs the magic object, guessing that this must be the final exit out of the cave. With the item in hand, the team celebrates the find and decides to ditch this dark place once and for all. The whole group goes back to walking the final stretch, approaching a giant, super imposing door in the tunnel. Right then, the MC hears a weird noise behind him and turns his head, suspicious of imminent danger. The big gate shows 3 empty slots, proving that finishing with the stones intact guarantees the win. Super hyped, the freshmen celebrate the achievement, confirming they are holding a solo first-place lid in the race. Trading confident looks, Ido celebrates the fact that they passed the team of arrogant nobles. But the new kid tries to force the lock and gets spooked, warning everyone that the heavy doors simply won't open. Checking out the problem up close, Sarah calls her friend's attention, pointing to the gate's mechanism. She explains that the big keyhole surrounded by red jewels requires a specific key to unlock the path. Hyped about the timing, Amy shows off the key she just found, promising she's going to test it in the lock. But when she tries to turn the object in the hole, the new girl gets frustrated and announces the door is still completely locked. Confused by the fail, she asks the noble why it's blocked and wonders if they grabbed the wrong key. Connecting the dots fast, Ido's eyes go wide, figuring out the real trap behind the riddle. Suddenly, some gross slime drops from the ceiling right onto the floor, pulling everyone's attention to the danger above. A scream of pure terror echoes through the whole dungeon, leaving the noble and the leader absolutely terrified. The silver-haired kid gets yanked violently up to the ceiling, begging for help while getting wrapped up in a tough web. Completely in shock from the stealth attack, the MC stares at the threat hanging in the air. A monstrous giant spider reveals itself in the shadows of the ceiling, trapping his teammate like simple prey. Watching their guide get captured with zero chance to defend himself, the squad spirals into absolute panic mode. Determined to save her friend, Sarah suggests they all blast the giant creature with magic at the exact same time. Ido shuts the idea down immediately, screaming that an attack like that could end up eliminating Forno in the crossfire. Desperate about the terrible situation, the noble asks her partner what they're supposed to do right now. Ido remembers that he also fought this exact same monster in his first life. Back then, the massive creature popped up in the supply warehouse, causing massive panic. But the late Captain Glenn knew exactly what to do to handle the threat. The veteran warrior explained that the beast was weak to light and ordered them to throw the place's doors wide open. Instantly, the giant metal doors were thrown wide open once and for all. Exactly like the hero predicted, the beast got wiped out as soon as it was bathed in the brightness. Bringing that into the present, the MC turns his head fast, stating he already knows the fix. He tells them the sun is almost coming up outside, so all they have to do is open that giant door to win. However, the tied-up kid screams desperately, reminding him that the gate won't open without the right key. Bursting with attitude, the leader points at Amy, telling her it's her turn, which leaves the new girl super confused. Straight up, the guy asks his partner to craft a brand new magic key for the group. Analyzing the lock, the new girl realizes they need a key made of pure light to escape. Confident, the girl runs off, promising she's going to try, while the leader lets her know they all trust her. During her sprint, she quickly spots a glowing piece of ore tossed on the ground right nearby. Watching the scene, Sarah wonders in awe if her partner had already foreseen all of this from the very beginning. The noble concludes internally that the team leader is always ready for absolutely any situation. Panicking, the freshman points up, screaming to warn them that Forno is in major danger. The monstrous spider pulls its prey hard, showing that the ally is about to get eliminated very soon. Totally tense with the incoming danger, Ido knows he needs to act as fast as possible to stop a tragedy. Meanwhile, Amy holds the glowing magic stone tight after running across the area. With a lot of focus, the freshman decides to fuse that glowing ore straight into the old key. She's absolutely sure this combo is going to create the exact item the group needs. Stuck in the sticky web, the silver-haired kid cries for help, seeing the monster closing into attack. Acting on reflex, the group leader reaches out and immediately triggers his special pressure skill. The MC conjures a large sphere of light and launches the attack straight at the dark ceiling. The light spell explodes right in the gross creature's face, blinding its vision. Super relieved by the hit, the kid confirms that the old captain's tactic was dead on. Feeling a lot of pain from the flash, the monster backs off and ends up dropping the new kid from its grip completely. Sarah points in awe at the beast, celebrating that the plan to use light worked perfectly. But the hype lasts for just a second, as the magic sphere starts to fizzle and the brightness drops fast. Frustrated, the young guy grinds his teeth, tense when he realizes the light won't last long enough to save his buddy.